All right, here we are, Dallas and I sitting in a coffee shop in Roppongi Hills, and I have a question for you, Dallas.
Okay.
Many entrepreneurs attribute their success to their skills, abilities, intelligence, and other people, often those who are not successful entrepreneurially, attribute the success of the entrepreneur to luck, pure luck. So, since you are fairly successful in this respect, and you have worked for the man, so to speak, previously, what's your assessment of these two takes on entrepreneurial success?
I mean, when it comes down to it, you'll never be successful, and nothing will ever be handed to you if you haven't worked hard for it. As an entrepreneur, starting new businesses, it takes enormous amounts of energy and dedication, not only to the cause of whatever business it is that you're trying to build, but as an entrepreneur, you're also required to know a lot about various fields.
Right.
You need to know about finance so that you can understand, through the funding process, what makes sense per valuation, or what type of capital structure you're looking to have for your company,
right?
So that later on you can maximize your returns, because in the end it's your company,
right?
But also you need to understand, distribution. You need to understand, what type of sales channels you utilize for your products.
Right.
And I mean, you also have to understand HR, the dynamics of managing. And I mean, there are just so many things that the entrepreneur is required to know that you do find it does take a significant amount of time invested in learning.
Right.
All of those fields, and a lot of people kind of have typically, some strength that they're coming to the endeavor from. For example, an engineer, comes from maybe a software background or something, so he understands the product extremely well.
Right.
But he may not understand these other, aspects of what's required to build a company, and you'll find that just through the process of doing it, he's in a constant kind of state of learning.
Okay.
And of course you hire other people who have the competencies that you don't, and can fill in, but in their very early stages for entrepreneurs, I mean, we really are required to essentially do everything ourselves.
Right.
And a lot of times you'll find go ahead.
Well, it does take a certain educational background and level of intelligence then.
Yeah, correct. I mean, and also, I guess it requires you to really consider, because there are so many different fields, and there are so many different, industries and segments that you can talk about with regards to entrepreneurialism. So, I think a lot of people probably come away with the perception that there's a lot of luck involved from the financing side.
Right.
And but I guess what people don't realize is that once you've pitched successfully to a financier, and they typically bring along all the connections that they have to help your business succeed.
Right.
So funding is a lot more about growing your business based on the framework of support that you get through your investors, than it is just simply getting the cash necessary to build your product and to market it.
I see. Okay.
So yeah, I think maybe that's where the misconception comes from, or a lot of people just have this perception that this guy was lucky to have access to funds,
right?
And that may be the case. A lot of times, location, timing, all of these things do matter. And in fact, if investors don't like you, if for some reason you as a person, you may have the greatest concept in the world, and it may be the next Facebook or the next Apple, but if you as a person are not marketing yourself well, If you haven't taken time to really invest in your personality or your aura, I guess you could say, then you can rub people wrong and they won't invest. They will just simply be turned off. They just think, great idea, whatever, it's a great concept, but I'm not interested. And I've actually had to turn other people away for that purpose as well.
Right. You often hear in Japan, networking is essential.
Yes.
More so than in other countries. Would you agree?
I think that holds true in the States as well. I don't think that's something that's particularly specific or particularly unique to Japan.
All right.
But if you're talking about, for example, winning certain accounts, then a lot of times in Japan, and this is one of the major differences that you'll see. I mean, it's not entirely different. I mean, you always do have this kind of these small circles of individuals who are have the influencing position for accepting contracts or whatnot, and you may have the relationships with those individuals. But in the States, you'll find that it's a lot easier to sort of cold call.
Okay.
It's easier to go into a new potential client and build the relationship. Whereas in Japan, you're kind of expected to go through pre-established channels.
Right.
A lot of companies who are looking, or a lot of companies, larger companies, won't engage with you directly unless you have someone who's introduced you, or you have a distributor who can take you in and help to position your product appropriately based on their relationship and the long experience that they've had with. And typically they come out of the companies that they have the relationships with. Is what I found anyway.
Right. Okay.
Not bad. Coffee?
Yeah, it's quite good.
Not bad.